Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're continuing with our featured work of literature for the month of October. It's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and it is a novel by the American author
Jenny Han.
Jenny Han, yeah. Again, I'm getting the characters mixed up with the actual writer, but Jenny Han is the writer of this novel. She's written other novels as well, but this particular novel was made into a movie and a TV series on Netflix, I believe. And again, the title is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. That's the novel's title, but I think the TV show's title is slightly different. But in any case, we are focusing on the novel here anyway, and we gave you a little bit of a summary of the novel. It all involves the main character, Laura Jean Song Covey. And remember, she's biracial, half Korean, half white or Caucasian. And she's got some things going on with her sister Margot, with the neighbor boy Josh, and an old crush that she had on Peter.
Right. And you probably remember she wrote some love letters that she would keep in her mother's old hat box, just to kind of cope with her feelings. Her older sister Margot was dating the next door neighbor. His name is Josh, and they broke up. Well, that's one of the guys that Laura Jean had a crush on or who liked. And she decides she still cares deeply for Josh, but she doesn't want to get any mafa or trouble from her sister. She's also involved in a little fender bender or minor car accident, and that brings another old crush, Peter, back into her life. Peter is currently dating a very possessive girl named Genevieve. And Peter's also one of the boys that Laura Jean wrote a love letter about, and they've also kissed in the past as well.
Right.
So in a surprising turn of events, at the end of day one, we talked about how Josh confesses to Laura Jean that he had a crush on her, and this leads Laura Jean to going back to her hat box, pulling out that letter she had written to Josh and adding a P.S. P.S. I still love you.
And also what happened when we finished our lesson last time is that Laura Jean discovered that somebody had actually sent out her secret letters to all those different crushes. We don't know who it is, but I'm sure we're going to try to find out in today's lesson. So let's get to it. Let's listen to the entire contents of our lesson now one time. When the school semester begins, Laura Jean is confronted by Peter, who has received the letter she penned to him years ago. In a state of panic, she discovers that her teal hat box is missing. Ashamed, she wonders who could have possibly mailed them and why. Presuming Josh, another recipient of her letters, must also know about her past feelings, she dodges him. However, when he confronts her, Laura Jean impulsively claims that she has a boyfriend. To prove it, she kisses Peter in front of everyone. This leads to a complex agreement between her and Peter, who has now broken up with his girlfriend Genevieve. They will pretend to date to avoid Josh and make Peter's ex jealous. Despite the pretense, genuine feelings bloom between Laura Jean and Peter. But complications arise when Josh kisses Laura Jean. In the midst of this emotional turmoil, she realizes she wants her fake relationship with Peter to become real. However, during a school ski trip, a vicious rumor threatening Laura Jean's reputation circulates, leading her to mistakenly believe Peter started it, and she breaks up with him. When Margot returns for Christmas, she's upset about Laura Jean's actions and the rumor about Laura Jean that she's heard. The tensions mount when Kitty confesses she mailed Laura Jean's love letters out of anger for Laura Jean joking about revealing Kitty's crush on Josh. Eventually, the sisters reconcile, and Kitty returns the hat box and Peter's notes from their fake relationship. This act inspires Laura Jean to pen another letter, this time with the intent to send it to Peter.
Okay, guys, let's dive in. It's day 2. Remember when we last left you at the end of day 1, we had discovered that her secret letters had mysteriously been mailed out to all those boys she had crushes on. This is a mess for Laura Jean, I must say. You don't want anybody seeing your personal letters or your diary, just think how that would feel. It's embarrassing. Worse than that, I think she's in high school, and everything's a big deal when you're in high school. When the school semester begins, Laura Jean is confronted by Peter, so he walks up to her. He's received that letter, the secret letter that she'd penned to him years ago, and in a state of panic, she discovers that her teal hat box is missing. Oh, so it wasn't just that somebody went and opened the hat box and took out the letters and mailed them. Oh no, they took the hat box too. So she's ashamed. She's probably really, really embarrassed. And she wonders who could have possibly mailed them and why. My guess at this point, and I don't know the answer, I'm guessing, is her sister Margot. Because she's mad.
Yeah, it's from their house there, so maybe Margot did this, or it could be the other sister.
The kitty, the little one? I don't know.
Who knows? Or it could be Josh who snuck into their house or something like that. But anyway, in any case, this is how she found out. Peter confronted her. Hey, what's this all about? What's this letter all about? And she realized, how could you have received that letter? I wrote that letter privately before, and it was in my teal hat box.
Yeah.
So she goes back home and she discovers that her teal hat box is actually missing. So she's ashamed, she's embarrassed, and she wonders who could have possibly mailed those letters to all those crushes and why. Why would somebody do that to me? Why would somebody try to ruin my life and make me so embarrassed? Well, presuming Josh, another recipient of her letters, must also know about her past feelings, she dodges him. So because Peter received a letter that she had written to him secretly, she just assumes that Josh is probably going to receive that letter as well. So she doesn't want to be embarrassed again, so she avoids him or she dodges him. She pretends not to notice him when she sees him.
Yeah, presume is one of our vocabulary words. And if you presume something, you take it for granted, or you suppose that something's true. You assume that something's true. Assume is very similar. Presume, assume. So to presume, though, means that you don't have the facts. You just think that's the case. You're not certain, but you think you're probably right. So never presume something. Always make sure you're correct before you actually think that something's true, especially when it's this important. She's presuming Josh, who is also a recipient of her letters. Remember, she had written a love letter to Josh too. He must also know about her past feelings. So what does she do? What any girl would do, she dodges him. If you dodge somebody, you try to avoid them at all costs. We have a game called dodgeball in America that I grew up playing. I liked playing with the girls because, we have the same kind of strength in our bodies. But when we played with the boys, they would throw the dodgeball so hard and try to hit us in our face.
Oh, no.
So, sometimes you need to play with the girls, and the boys should play with themselves. Anyway, yeah, so she assumes that he got the letter too, and she is embarrassed. So what does she do? She avoids him. She dodges him.
Exactly, and when he confronts her, Laura Jean impulsively claims she has a boyfriend. So she doesn't want Josh to know that she has a crush on him because he broke up with her sister Margot only very recently. So she doesn't want to start anything with Josh here. So she says, well, I actually already have a boyfriend. She does this impulsively, which means she does it without really thinking. It's not true, of course. She probably does not actually have a boyfriend, but she says that she does. And to prove it, she kisses Peter in front of everyone. So that probably surprised Peter. She just ran up to him and kissed him. And Peter was probably thinking, she sent me this letter before that says she still loves me. So maybe that kiss means she has a crush on me now.
Yeah, what's going on? Things are getting crazy. This sounds just like high school. Actually, a little bit like junior high, too. So anyway, yeah, she's gotten herself into a pickle. If you get yourself into a pickle, you've kind of gotten yourself tangled up in a mess. And it's going to be interesting to see how she gets out of this. So she runs over, trying to cover, the fact that, she sent him this letter and she's trying to get him to think she doesn't really like him anymore by kissing Peter. So, yeah, this leads to an even more difficult situation, though. Remember, Peter's dating that really possessive girl, Genevieve. And Genevieve is kind of you never want to, guys, never date someone who's possessive. Your life will turn into a horror show. Anyway, this leads to a complex or complicated agreement between her and Peter. She's honest with Peter. She says, can you just pretend you're my boyfriend so that Josh doesn't think I have a crush on him? So, oh dear. And Peter has now broken up with his possessive girlfriend, Genevieve, who I'm sure wants to get revenge on Laura Jean. They will pretend to date. So she and Peter are going to pretend to date. And that's going to help convince Josh that Laura Jean doesn't have a crush on him. And also, of course, it will make Peter's ex-girlfriend jealous, Genevieve.
Exactly. So maybe Peter and Genevieve broke up in an unfriendly way, and so they're kind of mad at each other. So Peter probably wants to make Genevieve jealous and drive her crazy. And moving on to the next paragraph here, it says, despite the pretense, genuine feelings bloom between Laura Jean and Peter, but complications arise when Josh kisses Laura Jean. Oh my goodness, this is getting so complicated. Again, we've got this pretense. Okay, we've got this arrangement between Peter and Laura Jean. They're supposed to pretend to be a couple, but still they manage to fall for each other. Genuine feelings bloom between Jean and Laura, or Laura Jean and Peter. And then we've got something even more complicated. Josh kisses Laura Jean. So my goodness, this is kind of like a love triangle going on here. Laura Jean has now two boyfriends. What is she going to do? That brings us to the halfway point in our lesson for today. Let's take a break now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天开始带大家看这个故事 To all the boys I've loved before。 好，昨天有特别提到有几个主角嘛，第一个就是 Lara， 她排行老二，她有一个姐姐叫做 Margot， 有一个妹妹叫做 Kitty。那妈妈在6年前的时候就过世了。那 Lara 这个女主角呢，她有什么特别的地方呢？就是她妈妈有送给她一个帽盒，那这个帽盒里面就收藏了很多她写给她自己喜欢对象那些 crushes 的一些情书，就偷偷藏着，只是自己写而已。不过因为 Margot 就是姐姐，她要上大学去了，然后刚好又跟她男朋友 Josh 分手。那其实 Lara 也喜欢过 Josh， 后来因为车祸关系 Peter 另外一个她曾经喜欢过男生又跑出来等等的，好，就发生了这一些让人很尴尬的事情。结果今天的故事真的是太恐怖了。当学期一开始的时候， Lara 居然当面被 Peter 质问，也就是 Peter 说，你多年前写给我的情书我收到了到底怎么样信是被寄出的呢？天哪，这实在是太令人感到惊慌失措了。没有错，这是太尴尬的一件事情。所以在今天的故事当中第一段一开始就讲到 When the school semesters begin， 他就先被这个 Lara 被 Peter 所 confronted， 当然后面有带一些补充说明的关系子句了那惊慌失措当中呢，他就发现了他自己的蓝绿色的帽盒居然不见，到底是谁偷的？谁把这些信给寄出去？而且是到底为了什么呢？在第一段第3句这边要特别注意是一个分词构句我们有特别在这个月的文章当中说过，在英文当中分词构句句子的简化是很重要。如果你突然看到一个 ing 或者是 pp 出现，不知道是要修饰谁的时候，通常都是修饰逗点之后的这个主词，因为主词相同，两个动词都一样，都是在这个附属在一个主词的前面的时候那么句子如果说连接词省略，它动词就会变成动词 ing。 那出现 pp 的这个情况呢，是因为 being 的一个简化。所以我们看第一段第3句，这里的 ashamed 就所谓觉得很羞愧，觉得很丢脸。如果我们还原成没有简化的句子的话，这一句原本是 She is ashamed, 逗点 and she wonders， 也就是 Lara 觉得很丢脸，逗点，而且她在纳闷，到底是谁把信给寄出去的。and 省略了之后，主词又相同，所以只能够剩下所谓的 PP 或者是 ing。好，那接下来我们就看到一个很重要的，这个文章当中啊，会出现对事实的推测。我们来看，把后面的could have possibly mailed 这边先画起来。在英文当中，如果要去推测过去的某一个动作可能如何如何，应该如何如何的时候，可以用助动词 could 或者是 might 加上 have PP， 表示对过去某一个动作的推测。例如在这里，谁可能会把这些信寄出去呢？那都已经寄出了嘛，寄mail 这个动作已经发生在过去，所以用助动词 could 加 have mailed。 好，我们刚刚说的分词构句现在在第二段的第一句又出现咯。 Presuming， 这个 presume 其实就有假定推测的意思。那谁假定谁推测啊？其实真正的主词后面还是后面的 another recipients must know， 在这边后面真正的主词呢，出现在后面一点点哦，逗点的 she 就是 Lara。 好，其实 Lara 就在想啊， Judge 就是其中一个收件人，他一定也会知道，所以 Lara 就回避了 Judge。 好，所以在这里的 presuming 如果要还原的话，根据文意会比较顺的推测，用 because 是比较顺的。 Because she presumes Josh must know about her past feelings， 逗点 she 指的就是 Lara， 就开始回避 Josh。 好，那回避 Josh 之后呢，可是 Josh 其实就真的当场还是去质问了他，所以一时冲动之下 Lara 就突然去亲了 Peter， 那后来就导致 Peter 跟他的女朋友就分手了。那后来呢，他们就假装在一起，但是虽然Lara 跟 Peter 是假装在一起，但是其实他们亲吻了之后呢，事情整个就变得更复杂了。我们接下来看一下第三段的第一句。第一句 despite 是一个介系词哦，所以后面会加上名词。而我们说假装做某事的这个动作会用 pretend P-R-E-T-E-N-D， 可是它其实有一个名词假装，这个假装就叫做 pretense P-R-E-T-E-N-S-E， 所以假装之后事情变得怎么样复杂呢？
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. When we started, we kind of picked up the plot from day one, and we discovered that the school semester had begun. And remember, those secret letters were mailed out by someone. And Laura Jean is confronted by Peter, who received the letter she'd penned to him years ago. She, of course, reacted as most of us would. She panicked. Oh, no! She discovers that her teal hat box is missing. So someone actually stole her hat box and then mailed those secret love letters. She's very embarrassed. She wonders who could have possibly done this and why did they do it? And my guess is it's Margot. Maybe Margot blames Laura Jean for Josh breaking up with her. This is a guess, of course. So who else could get to the hat box? You'd have to be a family member, I would think. So we're going to find out about that later. Now, we're presuming Josh, another recipient of her letters, must also know about her past feelings. So she just starts dodging him. She avoids him. And when he confronts her, she impulsively, without thinking, claims she has a boyfriend. She doesn't. But she claims she does to try to, get Josh off her trail. And to prove it, she does something even dumber and kisses Peter in front of everyone. So then Peter and Genevieve break up, and Laura Jean ends up talking to Peter, and they come up with this plan to pretend to date. And they're going to, at least she's going to do this to avoid Josh, but also, if they pretend to date, it will also make Genevieve jealous.
Right, so Peter wants to make Genevieve jealous, I guess, because maybe she broke up with him and he had a broken heart or whatever. We're not quite sure here. But again, feelings develop between Laura Jean and Peter. And then things get more complicated because Josh kisses Laura Jean. So Josh likes Laura Jean and Peter likes Laura Jean. And in the midst of this emotional turmoil, or in the middle of this, she realizes she wants her fake relationship with Peter to become real. I've actually fallen in love with Peter, even though we're supposed to pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend. But I actually like him a lot. I love him. I want to be together with him forever and forever. And this is their emotional turmoil, or this emotional situation, this storm or whatever. And here in the next sentence it says, however, during a school ski trip, a vicious rumor threatening Laura Jean's reputation circulates, leading her to mistakenly believe Peter started it, and she breaks up with him. So they go on a ski trip, which means, I guess, all the kids got together and rode a bus to a ski resort somewhere, maybe in the Appalachian Mountains somewhere, and they're going to go skiing, but a rumor kind of circulates. A rumor, of course, is information that's going around, and it's not necessarily true, and it's a vicious rumor. It's something mean, it's something bad concerning Laura. It's concerning her reputation. It circulates. People talk about this. They spread it around, and she, for some reason, thinks that Peter started it. You started this rumor, so I'm going to break up with you.
Okay, I want to go back to in the midst of, which is one of our phrases and vocabulary phrases that we want to focus on. If something happens in the midst of something, like an event, it happens during it. So maybe you were out shopping and the typhoon arrived while you were in the midst of getting ready for it, so you weren't ready. So here, this emotional turmoil is happening, and during the middle of that mess, she actually realizes she likes Peter. She doesn't want to fake it anymore. She would like to be his real girlfriend. And as Tom said, they go to on a school ski trip, and that's when a vicious rumor threatening Laura Jean's reputation circulates. When something's vicious, it's very cruel. It's deliberately cruel, very mean. If you're talking about an animal that's vicious, they're probably very dangerous and will bite and perhaps even attack you. But we're talking about a rumor, gossip being vicious. It's very mean and hurts somebody that the rumor's about. So the rumor threatens Laura Jean's reputation. Oh! So there's somebody spreading awful gossip. If it's hurting someone's reputation, it's saying that she's done something that's bad or unethical or something that most people would avoid doing. If something circulates, it goes from one person to another. We use circulate to talk about different things moving around, like the air is circulating around the room. Or if you go to a party, you'll often hear people, say, you should circulate. Get to know a lot of the people there at the party. Don't just stop and speak to one or two friends in the corner. Circulate, move around.
Right, and I suspect that Genevieve did this on purpose. She spread this rumor and made it look like Peter is the one who started it, but that's my, of course, theory here.
I think you're right.
But let's move on now to the final paragraph for today. It says, when Margot returns for Christmas, she's upset about Laura Jean's actions and the rumor about Laura Jean that she's heard. So Margot, of course, broke up with Peter, and she was overseas studying, but she came back to be with her family for Christmas and New Year, and she heard about all this stuff going on with Laura Jean and kissing Josh in public and stuff like that. So she's upset about what she's done. She's also upset about that rumor that is spreading about Laura Jean. She heard the rumor too. This is pretty convoluted. It's getting quite complicated here.
Well, I have to admit, I guessed wrong. Now we're going to find out who mailed those secret letters. Margot returns for Christmas, and she's very upset about Laura Jean's actions and the rumor about Laura Jean that she's heard. It's a false rumor. Now, the tensions mount. Tension is bad feelings between people. If there's a lot of tension between you and your boss, you're not getting along. the tensions mount. There's lots of people having problems here. When something mounts, we use that to mean it's going up. So something's increasing. Think mountain. Or when you mount a horse, you have to get up to a high level to get on the horse's back. So here, something is increasing, it's moving up, and that's when Kitty, the little sister confesses she mailed the love letters.
Ooh.
She was mad at Laura Jean for joking about revealing Kitty's crush on Josh. Josh must be pretty cute if all these girls have had a crush on him.
All three sisters have expressed feelings for Josh. So Kitty, I guess, even the youngest sister, can still have feelings as well.
Sure.
And of course, Laura Jean joked, "Oh, really? You got a crush on Josh? Well, I'm gonna tell everybody that." She was joking, of course, but Kitty was upset about that, so she mailed the letters out. And there you have it. There's the culprit right there, the person who did this. And eventually, the sisters reconcile, and Kitty returns the hatbox and Peter's notes from their fake relationship. So eventually just means after a long period of time. This happened in the end. Eventually, they reconciled, which means, they told the truth to each other, and they forgave each other, and they decided to be friends again, to be close sisters again, and forget about all the difficulty they had in the past. Let bygones be bygones. Let it go, And then Kitty decides to return the hatbox, and she also returns Peter's notes from their fake relationship. Everything should be restored now.
This act, or her returning the hatbox and Peter's notes, inspires Laura Jean to pen another letter. This time, she's going to write a letter to Peter, and I think I know what she's going to say, but we'll let you read the book and find out. If you have an intent to do something, that just means your motivation for doing something, your intention. That's what your purpose is. So this time, she is going to send a letter to Peter. And it won't be just one she writes and puts in her hatbox. It's one she's going to mail. And hopefully he gets it, and they can overcome the breakup that they just went through. Remember, she believed that Peter had been spreading those vicious rumors, so she broke up with him. And now she wants him back. I wish Laura Jean all the luck in the world. One person who never needs luck is our Chinese teacher. Let's listen now.
事情变得更复杂的原因是因为其实后来 Lara 居然意识到她好像其实真的蛮喜欢 Peter 的这个年轻人真的是喜欢 A 喜欢 B 又喜欢 C， 这实在是太令人感到尴尬了。好 ，Well anyway， 故事继续发展。然而呢，有一次在学校滑雪的期间，有一个伤害 Lara 声誉的一种恶意的谣言就传开来。后来呢，他居然误会以为是 Peter 传开的，所以他们两个就分手了。好，我们来看一下，在第三段这边第三句的地方从 however 这里中间的地方逗点不是有一个 leading 吗？ Lead someone to do something， 使某人结果就做了一件事。我们看到的就是使 Lara 后来跟 Peter 分手嘛。不过在这里的 leading 还原应该是 which leads， which 特别注意它不是指前面的什么 circulates 不是它指的是逗点前面从 during 一直到 circulate 这个括号当中的整件事情，也就是在滑雪的这个 trip 当中，刚有一个这个恶意的谣言，然后谣言四起逗点，这整件事情 which leads 就导致了 Lara 跟 Peter 又分手了。然后后来到了年底都是姐姐要回来过圣诞节嘛，他就发现Lara 怎么会有这些事情，然后有一些的 rumor 听到就觉得非常的生气不满。后来才知道原来这些信是谁寄出去的呢？居然是 Lara 的妹妹 Kitty 所寄出去的，这实在是太恐怖的一件事情了。那当然故事到结尾家人还是会和解嘛所以呢和解之后呢，就是整个让这个故事呢就把它几乎快要收尾了。可是呢最后的 Lara 还是写了一封信，而且这一次他是真的想要寄给 Peter 咯。以上就是大致的故事情节，我们明天还会对故事做更多主题的探讨。我是安娜，我们明天见。
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us, but please make sure you join us again next time when we break down some of the themes and ideas in our featured novel, To All the Boys I've Loved Before. We look forward to seeing you then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.